I'm about to talk about something most people don't want to discuss. Older women living alone without a man. There's a stigma around it. People assume you're lonely, vulnerable, or somehow incomplete without a husband or partner. But I'm 68 years old. I've been living alone in Fort Myers, Florida for 5 years since my husband passed. And I've learned 7 critical truths about single senior women that society either ignores or completely misunderstands. These aren't sad truths about loneliness and decline. These are eye-opening realities about independence, health, relationships, and what it actually means to be an older woman living solo in America today. Some of these truths will surprise you. Some might even offend you. But they're all backed by research, real experience, and honest conversations with doctors, therapists, and hundreds of women my age. Actually, you can't even imagine how shocked you'll be when you hear these things. Also, as you listen to them, you'll realize how fortunate you actually are. If you're over 60, living alone or considering it, or you know a senior woman in this situation, you need to hear this. Let me tell you what I've learned. Although it's actually difficult, in many ways, to share these experiences, I'm going to make this sharing. My name is Margaret Henderson. Everyone calls me Maggie. I'm 68 years old, and I live in Fort Myers, Florida, specifically in a quiet 55-plus community called Gulf Harbor near the Caloosahatchee River. I've lived here for 15 years. My late husband Robert and I moved from Michigan when he retired from his career as an automotive engineer at Ford. We loved Florida, the warm weather, no snow, the beaches on Sanibel Island, watching spring training baseball at Hammond Stadium where the Twins play. We bought a 2-bedroom villa with a screened lanai. Life was good. Morning walks at Bunch Beach, lunch at Nervous Nellie's on Fort Myers Beach, afternoons at the Edison and Ford Winter Estates, dinner at the Veranda downtown. Robert and I had 42 wonderful years together. Then 5 years ago, he died suddenly of a heart attack at 63. One moment he was fine, the next he was gone. My world ended. The first 2 years were hell. Grief, confusion, emptiness. Everyone told me what I should do. My kids, my daughter Amy in Denver, and my son Tyler in Orlando, wanted me to move closer to one of them. Mom, you can't live alone. You need family nearby. My sister Linda kept trying to set me up with widowers from her church. Maggie, you need a man. You'll be so lonely by yourself. My neighbors at Gulf Harbor would invite single men to community events, hoping something would spark. Everyone assumed living alone was temporary, that I'd either remarry, move in with family, or slowly deteriorate into helpless old age. But something unexpected happened. After about 2 years, once the acute grief faded, I started enjoying living alone. I wasn't lonely. I was independent. I wasn't vulnerable. I was capable. I wasn't incomplete. I was whole. And over the past 3 years, through conversations with my therapist, my doctor, other single senior women, and lots of self-reflection, I've learned 7 surprising truths about older women living alone without men. Truths that completely contradict what society believes. Let me share them with you. Truth 1. We're often happier than married women. Our age. The first surprising truth. Single, senior women who live alone are often emotionally happier than married women our age. This shocks people. The assumption is that without a husband, we're sad and desperate for male companionship. Reality? Often the opposite. When Robert was alive, I spent enormous emotional energy managing his needs, his moods, his health. He was a good man, but like many men his age, he relied on me for emotional support, social planning, medical management, and household organization. I was his calendar, his social secretary, his emotional processor. It was exhausting. After he died, and I finished grieving, something surprising happened. I felt lighter. I didn't have to manage anyone else's emotions or schedule. I could focus entirely on my own well-being. My therapist at the Fort Myers Counseling Center, Dr. Linda Shaw, explained this phenomenon. Maggie, many women spend their entire adult lives in caretaking roles, raising children, supporting husbands, caring for aging parents. When they finally live alone in later years, they experience profound relief and freedom. It's not that they didn't love their husbands. It's that they're finally free from the constant responsibility of managing other people's lives. Research backs this up. A 2021 study published in the Journal of Women and Aging found that widowed women living independently report higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional well-being than married women their age, particularly in areas of autonomy, personal growth, and stress levels. Another study found that women over 65 who live alone are significantly less likely to report feeling emotionally drained than married women. I'm living proof. I'm genuinely happy, not despite living alone, but in many ways because of it. Truth 2. We're not desperate for male companionship. The second truth, we're not desperate for men. We're content. Everyone assumes single older women are desperately seeking male partners, that we're incomplete without a man in our lives. My sister Linda constantly says, Maggie, don't you want someone to share your life with? Don't you want companionship? The assumption is, I'm sitting home alone every night, wishing for a man. Reality? I have rich, fulfilling companionship, just not with a romantic partner. I have a robust social life on my terms. I'm part of a women's book club that meets twice monthly at Books A Million on Summerlin Road. I take water aerobics classes at the Gulf Harbor Pool 3 mornings a week with a group of wonderful women. I have lunch with my friend Carol every Thursday at the Twisted Vine Bistro. I volunteer at the Harry Chapin Food Bank 1 morning a week. I attend community events, craft workshops at Michael's on Forum Boulevard, and monthly dinners with a group of 6 women I've known for years. My social calendar is full. What I don't have, and don't particularly want, is a romantic relationship with a man. After 42 years of marriage, the idea of dating, merging lives, compromising on everything from TV shows to vacation plans sounds exhausting. I value my independence. I wake up when I want, eat what I want, watch what I want, spend my time how I want. No negotiations, no compromises. My therapist explained, Maggie, women are socialized to believe they need men to be complete. But many women discover in later life that they're perfectly complete on their own. You spent decades in partnership. You're allowed to enjoy solitude now. Research from Pew Research Center found that 75% of single women over 65 say they're not interested in dating or remarrying, compared to only 37% of single men over 65. Why? Because women value independence and solitude, while men often seek caregiving. I'm in that 75%, and I make no apologies for it. Truth 3. We're more capable than society assumes. The third truth. We're far more capable of managing male tasks than people assume. There's this stereotype that women need men for physical tasks, fixing things, yard work, financial management, car maintenance. It's insulting and wrong. When Robert was alive, he handled certain things. He mowed the lawn, fixed broken appliances, managed investments, maintained the cars. When he died, I had to figure these things out. Guess what? I did. I hired a lawn service. A young guy named Marco comes every 2 weeks for $60 and does a better job than Robert ever did. When the garbage disposal broke, I called a handyman from Angie, fixed in 30 minutes for $85. When I had questions about investments, I met with my financial advisor at Edward Jones on Colonial Boulevard and took control of my own finances. When my car needed maintenance, I learned to take it to Tire Kingdom myself and ask questions instead of nodding along blindly. For bigger projects, I hire professionals. Last year, I had the lanai rescreened. Cost $1,200. Robert would have tried to do it himself, taken 3 weekends, done a mediocre job, and been grumpy the whole time. The professionals did it in 4 hours, perfectly. Best money I ever spent. The idea that women need men to survive practically is outdated nonsense. We're adults. We can hire help. We can learn skills. YouTube has taught me how to reset my Wi-Fi router, unclog a drain, change air filters, and program my thermostat. I'm perfectly capable. Truth 4. We face unique safety concerns that require vigilance. The fourth truth is serious. Single senior women face unique safety concerns that require proactive management. This is where living alone as a woman differs from living alone as a man. We're more vulnerable to certain risks, home invasions, scams targeting widows, and predatory men. I've had to become vigilant in ways I never was when Robert was alive. First, home security. I installed a Ring doorbell camera and a security system from ADT. I never open the door to strangers. When contractors come for repairs, I tell my neighbor Carol, and I keep my phone nearby. Second, financial scams. I get calls weekly from IRS agents or Medicare representatives demanding money. I've learned to hang up immediately and never give financial information over the phone. My bank, Fifth Third on McGregor Boulevard, has alerts set up for any unusual transactions. Third, and most uncomfortable, predatory men. I've encountered several men at community events who saw widow and thought vulnerable and desperate. One man, Tom, started showing up uninvited at my condo, offering to help with tasks, making uncomfortable comments about how I shouldn't be alone. I had to be direct. Tom, I appreciate the offers, but I'm not interested. Please don't come by uninvited again. He got offended, but my safety matters more than his feelings. My doctor at Lee Health, Dr. Patricia Anderson, also warned me about medical emergencies. Maggie, you're healthy now, but you need systems in place. What if you fall? What if you have a stroke? I installed a medical alert system. I wear the button religiously. I also have a routine. I text my daughter Amy every morning by 8 a.m. If she doesn't hear from me by 9 a.m., she calls. If I don't answer, she has keys and comes over. This isn't paranoia. It's practical safety planning. Truth 5. We discover financial independence is both empowering and challenging. The fifth truth. Financial independence as a single senior woman is simultaneously empowering and challenging. On the empowering side, I control 100% of my money for the first time in my adult life. I make all financial decisions. When I want to buy something nice, a new piece of art, a weekend trip to Miami, I do it. No permission needed, no justification required. That freedom is intoxicating after decades of joint financial decision-making where Robert often had veto power. But there's also challenge. I'm solely responsible for my financial security, and statistically, women face greater financial vulnerability than men. Women live longer, have less retirement savings on average, and face higher long-term care costs. I meet with my financial advisor quarterly. We review my situation, Robert's pension, my Social Security, our joint savings, and future planning. The numbers are tight. My monthly expenses, condo fees, insurance, utilities, food, car, healthcare, run about $3,500. My income covers it, but barely. I have to budget carefully. The other reality, I worry about long-term care. If I need assisted living or memory care, The cost is $4,000 to $8,000 monthly in Fort Myers. My savings would last maybe 3 to 5 years. Then what? Medicaid? Moving in with Amy or Tyler? These unknowns keep me up at night. I've purchased long-term care insurance, but it only covers part of potential costs. Financial insecurity is real for single senior women, and I'm constantly aware of it. Truth 6. Dating and relationships look completely different, and many of us aren't interested. The sixth truth. Dating at our age is complicated, and many single senior women aren't interested. My kids and friends constantly ask, "Mom, are you dating? Have you met anyone?" The assumption is I should be actively looking for a new husband or partner. But here's reality. I'm not interested. Why? Several reasons. First, after 42 years of marriage, I'm enjoying independence. The idea of merging lives again, sharing space, compromising constantly, taking on another man's emotional and physical needs sounds exhausting. Second, dating at 68 is complicated and often disappointing. I tried online dating briefly, our time. The men I met fell into categories: those looking for a nurse or a purse, someone to take care of them or fund their lifestyle, those still bitter about their divorces, those with serious health issues, or those who wanted a relationship that looked exactly like their first marriage. None appealing. Third, most honestly, I don't need a man for the things I once thought I did. I don't need financial support. I manage my own money. I don't need physical help. I hire professionals. I don't need emotional intimacy. I get that from my female friendships, which are deeper and more satisfying than any conversations I had with Robert. And I certainly don't need or want to become a caregiver again. Statistically, older men who remarry often need caregiving within 5 to 10 years. I'm not signing up to spend my 70s changing diapers and managing medications for someone I've known for 2 years. My friend Susan remarried at 67 to a wonderful man named Frank. 2 years later, Frank had a stroke. Susan now spends her days as his full-time caregiver, managing medications, driving to doctor appointments, helping him dress and bathe. She's exhausted and resentful, but feels trapped. I watched this and thought, never again. I did my caregiving. I'm done. My therapist validated this. Maggie, you're allowed to prioritize your own well-being. You don't owe anyone a caregiving relationship. Hearing these things made me indescribably happy. Truth 7. We're redefining femininity and aging. The seventh and most profound truth. Single senior women living alone are quietly redefining what femininity and aging mean. Traditional femininity said women are nurturers, caregivers, supporters. We derive worth from relationships: wife, mother, grandmother. Aging traditionally meant becoming dependent on family. But single senior women living independently challenge both narratives. We're nurturing ourselves. We're caring for our own needs. We're supporting our own lives. Our worth comes from who we are, not who we're attached to. We're demonstrating that aging doesn't have to mean dependence. I'm 68, living alone and thriving. I manage my health, my home, my finances, my social life. I'm not waiting for children or a man to take care of me. I'm taking care of myself. My therapist said something powerful. Maggie, you're modeling a new vision of older womanhood, one that's independent, self-sufficient, socially connected, and unapologetic. That's valuable, especially for younger women who see aging as something to fear. My daughter Amy told me recently, "Mom, watching you rebuild your life after Dad died has been inspiring. You didn't collapse. You adapted. You're showing me that losing a spouse doesn't mean losing yourself." The fact that my daughter thinks this way about my efforts was truly invaluable to me, and I shared this with her. Living my best life at 68. 5 years after Robert's death, I'm living my best life. I'm healthy, active, financially stable, socially connected, and genuinely happy. I miss Robert sometimes. Grief doesn't end, it changes. But I'm not defined by his absence. I'm defined by how I've chosen to live. My typical day: wake at 6:30 a.m., coffee on the lanai, watching the sunrise. Walk 2 miles around the community. Breakfast, usually yogurt and fruit. Water aerobics at 9 a.m. or running errands. Lunch with friends or at home, afternoon. Reading, crafts, volunteer work, or social activities. Dinner, often a salad or simple meal. Evening, book club or watching TV or crafting. Bed by 10 p.m. It's simple, peaceful, fulfilling. Is it perfect? No. Do I sometimes wish Robert was here? Yes. Do I sometimes feel lonely? Sure, but those moments are brief and manageable. Overall, I'm content, and that's something society doesn't expect from a 68-year-old widow living alone. But despite these expectations, I can do it. I succeed. If you're an older woman living alone, or considering it, or worried about it, I want you to know you can thrive. It requires intention. You have to actively manage safety, build social connections, handle practical tasks, and protect your well-being. But it's absolutely possible. And if you know a single senior woman, don't pity her or pressure her to find a man. Ask her how she's doing. Invite her to activities. Respect her choices. Many of us are doing just fine. Better than fine. If this resonates with you, leave a comment below. Are you living alone as a senior woman? What's your experience? Share your thoughts. And please, if you found this valuable, hit that subscribe button for more honest conversations about aging, independence, and living well in our later years as women. Remember, living alone doesn't mean living less. Sometimes it means living more fully on your own terms.